Welcome guys to my new video. In this video we will start learning all about partitions, the primary and the extended partition, and all about the operating system. So first of all, like my video, subscribe to my channel, and let's start our video. Primary partition. Primary partitions are the most important partitions on a disk. They can be used to store the operating system, applications, and data. A disk can have up to 4 primary partitions. A primary partitions can be boot partitions, which mean that the computer can start up from them. To make a primary partition, you need to install the operating system on it. Now let's see some benefits of using the primary partitions. They are more reliable than the logical partitions. They are easier to manage and troubleshoot, and they can be used to boot the computer. The primary partitions are a good choice for storing the operating system and other important files. However, it is important to back up your data regularly, and you have two primary partitions, one of the operating system and one for the private data. You can only have 4 primary partitions on a disk. If I need to format one or a part of these partitions, you are erasing all the data on this part, and the other data on the other parts is not affected. When you're formatting a part, you are erasing all the data that on this part. However, the data on the other parts is not affected. Your data on the second partition will stay the same when you format and reinstall the operating system on the first partition. This is because the second part is separated from the first partition and is not affected by formatting the first partition. It's always a good idea to back up your data before you make any change to your computer. This is because there is always the possibility to lose all your data on your computer. This is all about why we use the primary partition. Here are some tips for backing up your data. 1. Back up your data regularly. This means backing up your data on a regular basis, such as once a day or once a week. Back up your data to multiple locations. This means, for example, on a cloud storage, USB, DVD, or a hard disk, etc. And 3. Test your backups. This means testing your backup to make sure that they are working properly, and then you can restore your data from them if you need. This is some tips for backing up your data. It's very important to make backup on your phone, laptop, to not lose your data. Now let's talk about the extended partition and see what is an extended partition and what is the difference between the primary partitions and the extended partitions. The extended partitions is a special type of partition that contain multiple logical drives. Logical drives are essentially partitions within the extended partition. When you format the partition where the operating system is, you are only erasing the data on the partition. The extended partition and the logical drives within it will not be affected. This is what is the extended partition. And the difference between the extended and the primary is when I need to format the partition, the extended partition is not be affected. It is important to note that the new operating system may not be able to access the extended partition or the logical drives. This is because the new operating system may not uh, records the file system that is being used on the extended partition. Here we have some tips to protecting your data. Backup your data to an external hard drive like a USB or a hard disk or a DVD. Create a system image of your computer. This will create a backup of your entire operating system and your data. Use an antivirus program to protect your computer from a virus. This is some tip to protecting your data, and backup your data is very important. In the primary partition, you have only 4 partitions on a hard disk, on the disk, but in the extended partition, we have multiple partition on a disk. A primary partition is a partition that can be booted from. This is mean that the computer can start up from it. Primary partition can also be used to store data, but it is not necessary. In the extended partition, it allows you to have more than 4 partitions on a disk. This can be useful if you need to separate your data into different partitions. A shrink volume is a process of reducing the size of partition. This can be useful for creating a new partition or for freeing up space on an existing partition. You can install the operating system on a shrink volume, but there are a few things to keep in mind. 1. The shrink volume must be large enough to hold the operating system and all of its necessary files. The shrink volume must be formatted with the correct file system. The operating system installation process with usual format the shrink volume for you. 3. The type format for a shrink volume is NTFS. The NTFS is the default file system for the Windows operating system and is the most compatible file system for shrink volume. The NTFS is a more efficient file system than FAT32 and exFAT, and it supports features such as files and disk and user permission. To shrink a volume, you need to right-click on the volume you want to shrink and select Shrink Volume. Then enter the amount of space you want to shrink the volume by and right-click on Shrink. Now the disk management tool will create a new unallocated space that you can use to create a new partition or to extend an existing partition. This is all about the extended partition, and this is the difference between the primary and the extended partition on your computer. And I repeat, it's very important to protect our data and to make backup, for example, every day on one time on a week. Now let's talk about the operating system. An operating system acts as an interface between the software and the different part of the computer or the computer hardware. The operating system is designed in such a way what it can manage the overall source and operations of the computer. Operating system is a fully integrated set of specialized programs that handle the operating system of the computer. It controls and monitors the execution of all other programs that reside in the computer, which also include the application, program, and other system software. The operating system can be Windows. The Windows is an operating system. Linux is an operating system, and the Mac OS is also an operating system. It is a collection of a software that manages computer hardware, research, and provides common service for computer programs. The operating system is the most important type of the system software in a computer system. The operating system helps in improving the computer software as well as hardware. Without the operating system, it becomes very difficult for any application to be used user-friendly. The operating system comes with a large number of device drives as that make the operating system service reachable to the hardware environment. And finally, the operating system helps an application with the hardware part without knowing about the actual hardware configuration. It is one of the most important parts of the system and hence present in every device. Present in every device. If the device is a large or a small device, the operating system help the hardware to work. Now let's talk about the function of the operating system. One, the resource management. The operating system manages and allocates memory, CPU time, and other hardware resources among the various programs and processes running on the computer. Two, process management. The operating system is responsible for starting, stopping, and managing processes and programs. It also controls the scheduling of processes and allocates resources to them. 3. Memory management. The operating system manages the computer's primary memory and provides mechanisms for optimizing memory usage. For the security, the operating system provides a secure environment for the user and applications and data by implementing security policies and mechanisms such as access controls and encryption. 5. Job accounting. It keeps track of time and resources used by the various jobs or user. 6. The file management. The operating system is responsible for organizing and managing the file system, including the creation, deletion, and the manipulation of files and directories. 7. The device management. The operating system manages input and output devices such as a printer, keyboard, mouse, etc. It provides the necessary drivers and interface to enable communication between the devices and the computer. 8. Networking. The operating system provides networking capability such as establishing and managing network connections, handling network protocol, and sharing resources such as printers and files over the network. Now let's see notes about the operating system. 1. The operating system enables multiple users to share computer system and its resources simultaneously by providing time sharing that allocate resources fairly and efficiently. The operating system provides a set of system calls that enable applications to interact with the operating system and access its source. System calls provides a standardized interface between application and operating system, enabling portability and compatibility across different hardware and software platforms. Now, the objectives of the operating system is to user-friendly, easy accesses, and management of resources, and controls and monitors, and share the result easier. This is all about the operating system in our computer. It's very important to know that the operating system it can be Microsoft, Linux, or the Mac OS. Exercise 1. What is the difference between the primary partition and the extended partition? The extended partition is a partition that contains multiple logical drives, but a primary partition is a partition that can be boot partitions, which means that the computer can start up for them. And the primary partition have four partitions on a disk, but the extended partition have a multiple partitions on a disk. And now let's see the answer. And a primary partition is a type of the disk partition that can be hosted in operating system and be marked as active. But an extended partition is a special type of primary partition that can contain multiple logical partitions, allowing for more than 4 partitions on a disk. This is what is the difference between the primary and the extended partition. Exercise 2. Is the operating system a hardware part? The operating system help the hardware part on the computer to work. Let's see the result. No, an operating system is not a hardware part, it is a software. The operating system acts as an intermediary between the hardware and the user, managing hardware resources and providing the service for the computer programs. This is what the definition, a small definition about the operating system.